Hey, I'm getting ready to read Chapter 3, Part 2 of Trouble According to Humphrey, and I'm joined with a little guest here. Hi, buddy. Hopefully, Emily won't get you here in a second. Seth leaped up from the couch and jumped up and down, making V's with the fingers. I won, tell Lucinda, I won. Grandma's head jerked up as she woke with a start. What's it? She asked groggily. Did I win? No, Mother, you moved first when you fell asleep. Perfectly ridiculous. I was just resting my eyes. Seth won. June gave her son a hug. Now we know you can control yourself if you put your mind to it. I guess, said Seth. He looked worried. I bet he was wondering if he was going to have to sit like a statue forever. Not all the time, of course, said June. I do believe parents can sometimes read their children's mind. Just when you need to, like during a test. Seth sighed. I'll try harder. I promise, Mom. Can I call Tabitha and ask if she can come see that football movie tomorrow? Asked Seth. I'll call her mother after dinner, said June. Lucinda wandered in, rubbing her eyes. Stupid contact lens. I don't suppose we can have a rematch. Anytime you want, Seth said confidently. I'll have a rematch, said Grandma. No rematches, June stated firmly. Now, what do you say we order some pizza to go with that salad? They didn't have pizza in your day, Grandma, did they? Lucinda asked. Pizza in my day? We invented pizza. Pepperoni and onions for me. Hold the peppers. I was glad they weren't arguing anymore, but I hoped I wouldn't have to hold the peppers. They're way too spicy for me. Passing of time. The next day, as promised, June took Seth and Tabitha to see the football movie at the mall, a place I've never been, and took Lucinda shopping. Grandma stayed home. That made me a teensy bit nervous because I had a feeling that in her day, people didn't have hamsters. Or if they did something worse than put them in a cage. For a while, she ignored me and watched a couple of programs on television where grown-ups sat around and argued with each other. Phew, I'm glad Miss Brisbane doesn't let the kids in room 26 argue all the time. I guess even Grandma got tired of those shows because she turned the TV off and came over to my cage. Let's get a good look at you, young man. She pulled her glasses out of her pocket and leaned in to examine me. Well, you're just a little bit of a fellow, aren't you? Not good for much, I guess. Me? Humphrey the hamster? Not good for much? I decided to show Grandma a thing or two. I scurried up my ladder, leaped onto a tree branch, and hung there from one palm. It was a trick that had never failed to please humans. So far, Grandma wasn't anything like the other humans I'd met. I swung myself up to my bridge ladder, dashed across it, and dove onto my wheel. Whoa, 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 whoa! I almost lost my balance, but I managed to get the wheel going without falling over. Why aren't you Mr. Show-Off? Said Grandma. Quite the daredevil. Then she did something surprising. She chuckled. Since I was on a roll, I hopped off my wheel, grabbed onto my ladder, and hung on with both balls, swinging my body back and forth. Ha! Reminds me of a song as we sang as kids. Amazingly, Grandma began to sing. He floats through the air with the greatest of ease, the daring young man on the flying trapeze. His actions are da-da-da-da-dee, and my heart he has stolen away. What was an excellent song. She had a pretty good voice, too, even if she couldn't remember all the words. I liked being the daring young hamster on the flying trapeze. I'd almost forgotten that old song. I tell you, Humphrey, that's your name, isn't it? Of course, I squeaked. My name is Dot LaRee. Humphrey, when I was young, we used to sing all the time. Now kids just listen to music. In my day, we made our own. I dropped down from my trapeze and listened. And for fun, we'd go to the roller rink. Dot's eyes lit up as she talked. There used to be a roller skating rink where the mall is now. Next door was an amusement park with a Ferris wheel and a merry-go-round. You could go on a couple of rides and maybe have some cotton candy or snow cone. Once I saw a dancing bear there. A man would play the accordion, the bear would really dance. Now all there is to do is to spend money on clothes. Who cares about clothes? I don't. I was speaking the truth. I was perfectly happy with my fur coat. I've seen a lot of changes in my day, said Dot, but nobody wants to hear about my life. I do, I squeaked, and I meant it. She smiled again. You're a chipper fella. I like you, kiddo. I really do. And I really, really, really liked Dot. We lived in a yellow house with white trim down on Alder Street. It was a small house with a nice big yard, with trees to climb and places to play hide and seek. It was near the Dairy Maid, only back then it was a little corner store. Alder Street, Dairy Maid, that was right where I came from, next door to Panorama. They tore all the down that block that pretty houses, put in a pet store and a music store or something, right where I used to play when I was a girl. They tore down our house to build Petorama. I was learning a lot because I imagined Petorama had always been there at the corner of 5th and Alder. My mind was a million miles away when I heard a door slam, followed by the stomping and clomping of feet. Mother, June called out. I'm here with Humphrey, said Dot. June, Seth, and Lucinda came into the den, all bundled up in coats, hats, and scarves. You were probably smart to stay home, said June. It started to sleet. I wasn't sure what sleet was, but it sounded cold, cold, cold. Of course it has, said Dot. Anybody with a lick of sense would expect it. Today's March 1st, and you know what they say. March comes in like a lion and goes out like a lamb. Hardly ever fails. Why, in my day, we had 3 feet of snow on March 1st one year. I must have been 10 or maybe 11. Seth and Lucinda rolled their eyes as if to say, there she goes again. But when I looked at Dot, I saw a young girl gazing out the window of a yellow house with white trim, watching the snowflakes fluttering down, thinking about a dancing bear. Later that night, I was feeling especially nocturnal, so I decided to perform my daring young hamster on a flying trapeze routine for Seth. I leaped up, grabbed onto my bridge ladder, and swung across it. If you were human, you could be on the Olympic gymnastics team, said Seth, and it sounded like a very good thing. I wish Dad could see you, he continued. He lives in Arizona where it's warm all the time. He coaches high school basketball. I spend the whole summer there, and boy, it's hot. I guess Miss Brisbane wouldn't let you stay for the whole summer. He seemed disappointed, and I guess I was too. I knew that the capital of Arizona is Phoenix. That's not easy to spell. But I wanted to know what it would be like to live in a place where it's warm all the time. I glanced out the window, and not only was it not warm, tiny pieces of ice were falling outside. Sleet. On Sunday, I saw an amazing sight. The trees outside the window were covered in ice, which glittered like diamonds when the sun came out in the afternoon. Dot stood at the window admiring the display. Yes, sir, March came in like a lion, so you know she'll go out like a lamb. Days like this, when I was a kid, we'd go ice skating over on Dobbs Pond. Don't kids do that anymore, June? June joined her mother at the window. They paved that over and built houses there years ago, Mother. Fools! What do you bet they get water in the basement when it rains? You can't stop nature. June called to Seth. Did you see these trees? They're really beautiful. Seth was watching a basketball game on TV. I saw him, he said, but I knew he hadn't taken his eyes off the screen for the whole game. June went into the kitchen, but Grandma stayed at the window, watching the sun shine through the icy branches. Skating on Dobbs Pond. Dot sounded wistful. If I had a choice, I'd be out there skating with her. Freezing rain and snow keep students inside over the weekend. Humphrey stays warm at Seth Stevens' house, the Humphrey Herald. And that's the end of Chapter 3.